Stage 5, 328, and post-stage revision. Last head word was off your guard. Okay, so let's start from where we ended. Ready?
Okay.
Okay, what's the best way to calm somebody down when he's very angry? What's the best way to calm somebody down when he's very angry? The best way
The
to
best way
calm
to
somebody
calm
down
somebody
when
down
he's very
when
angry
he's very
is
angry
to speak
is
quietly
to speak quietly
and
and
pleasantly to him.
pleasantly to him.
Very good. Are we having calm weather at the moment? Are we having calm weather at the moment? Yes or no?
No,
We aren't having
we aren't having
calm weather at the moment.
calm weather at the moment.
Very good. Okay. What are the two ways of forming the second conditional with the verb to be? What are the two ways of forming the second conditional with the verb to be? The two ways
The two
of
ways
forming
of
the second
forming the
conditional
second
with
conditional
the verb to
with
be
a verb to be
are if I
are
was
if I was
and if I were.
and if I were.
Very good. If you were a millionaire, where would you live? If you were a millionaire, where would you live? If I were a
If I
millionaire,
were a
I
millionaire,
would live in
I would live in
eh,
in, in New York
New York. Why? Why? Because
because it is big city.
and expensive city as well. Very good.
Yes.
Okay, if I were you, which language would I speak? If I were you, which language would I speak? If you were me,
If you were
you
me,
would speak
you would speak
Japanese.
Japanese.
Very good. If you were a king, what would your if you were a queen, what would your husband be called? If you're a queen, what would your husband be called? If I were a
If I
queen,
were a
my
queen,
husband
my
would be
husband
called
would be
a
called
king.
a king.
Very good. If there wasn't a light in this room, would we be able to see well when it got dark? If there wasn't a light in this room, would we be able to see well when it got dark? No. If
No,
there wasn't
if
a
there
light
wasn't
in
a
that
light
room,
in that
we
room,
wouldn't be
we
able
wouldn't be
to
able
see
to
well
see well.
when it got dark.
When it got
We
dark,
would see badly.
we would see battery.
If there weren't any food in the world, would we all die? Huh. If there any aren't any food in the world, would we all die? Yes. If there
Yes,
weren't
if there were
any food in the
any
world,
food in the
we
world,
would all die.
they would all die.
Very good. One more. We would all die.
We would all die.
Very good. If you weren't you, who would you like to be? If you weren't you, who would you like to be? If I weren't
If
me,
I were me,
I would like to be
I would like to be
Emma Watson or
uh,
Lady Gaga.
Emma Watson
Emma Watson, much better than Lady Gaga. Very good. Okay. Why? Why?
because she's smart
And beautiful.
and beautiful.
Very good. Okay. Can we use the expression if I were you to give advice to somebody? Can we use the expression if I were you to give advice to somebody? Yes. We can
Yes,
use
we can
the
use
expression
the
if
expression
I were you
if I were
to
you
give advice
to give up to give advice
to somebody.
to somebody.
Give me an example. Give me an example, please. If I were you,
If I were
I
you,
would eat
I would
more
eat
vegetables,
more vegetables,
or I wouldn't
or
buy
I
that
wouldn't
car
buy that car.
if I were you.
If I were you,
Very good. What's the biggest problem in your life at the moment? What's the biggest problem in your life at the moment? The biggest problem
the biggest
in my
problem
life at
in
the
my life
moment
at the
is
moment is
what?
is so
Is
I didn't decide to where go where
where to go?
to where to go on my holiday.
Ah, easy problem. Okay, very good. What's another opposite of the verb lose besides find? What's another opposite of the verb lose besides find? Another opposite
Another
of the
opposite
verb
of the
lose
verb
besides
lose
find
besides find
is win.
is win.
Very good. What's the three forms of win? What's the three form of win? The three
The
forms
three
of win
forms of win
are win, one,
are
one.
win, one, one.
Does your country usually win at football? Does your country usually win at football? Yes or no?
No,
My country
my
doesn't
country
usually
doesn't
win
usually
at
win
football.
at
It
football.
usually
It
loses.
usually loses.
Do you do the lottery? Do you do the lottery? Yes or no?
Yes,
I
I
do the lottery.
I do the lottery.
Have you ever won? Have you ever won? Yes or no?
No,
I've
I've I've
never
never
won.
won.
Yeah, just like me. Okay. If you won £1 million, what would you do with it? If you won £1 million, what would you do with it? If I won
If
a
I want
million
a
pounds,
million
I
pounds,
would.
I would buy a new house.
I would buy a new house. Very good. Okay, next. Is this pen useless? Is this pen useless? No, that
No,
pen
that
isn't
pen
useless.
isn't
It's
useless.
useful.
It's useful.
Very good. What do we do with useless things? What do we do with useless things? We throw
We
useless
throw
things away.
useless things away.
Very good. What are the two most useful things you possess? What are the two most useful things you possess? The two most
The two
useful
most
things
useful
I
things
possess are.
I possess are my mobile phone and my laptop.
Very good. Do you think that what you're learning now will be useful to you later on in life? Do you think that what you're learning now will be useful to you later on in life? Yes, I think
Yes,
that
I think that
what I'm learning
what
now
I'm running
will
now
be
I,
useful to
will be
me
useful to me
later on in life.
later on in life
Why? Why? Because it will
because
help
it
me
will help
get
me
work
get
and
work
speak to
and
people
speak to
from
people
other
from
countries.
other countries.
Very good. What's the contraction of I would? What's the contraction of I would? The contraction
The
of I
contraction
would
of I
is
would
I'd.
is I'd.
What are the contractions of you would, he would, she would, etc.? What are the contractions of you would, he would, she would, etc.? The contraction
The
of you
contractions
would,
of
he
you'd,
would, she
he would,
would,
she
etc.
would,
are
etc. are
you'd,
you'd,
he'd, she'd,
she'd, she'd,
etc.
etc.
Very good. Okay, if you went to the cinema this evening, which film would you see? If you went to the cinema this evening, which film would you see? If I went to
If
the
I
cinema
went to the
this
cinema
evening,
this
I'd
evening,
see
I'd see Godzilla.
Godzilla. Very good. If I were you, which language would I speak? If I were you, which language would I speak? If you were
If
me,
you were me,
you'd speak.
would you'd speak Japanese?
Very good. If a plant had no water, would it die? If a plant had no water, would it die? Yes. If a
Yes.
plant
If a
had
plant
no water,
would have no water,
it'd die.
it'd die.
Very good. Okay, next. What's the construction of bookwood? What's the construction of bookwood? The
The
construction of
contraction
bookwood
of
is
bookwood
book.
is booked.
Very good. What's the construction of lesson wood? What's the construction of lesson wood? The
The
construction of
contraction
lesson wood
of reserwood
is lessened.
is listened.
What's the construction of who would? What's the construction of who would? The construction
The
of who
contraction
would
of food
is hood.
is food.
What's the construction of what would? What's the construction of what would? The
The
construction of
contraction
what would
of what
is
wood
whatted.
is whatted.
What's the contraction of which would? What's the contraction of which would? The
The
contraction of
contraction
which would
of which wood
is whiched.
is witched.
Very good. If you lost your way in a large city, who'd you ask? If you lost your way in a large city, who'd you ask? If I lost my
If
way
I lost my way
in a large
in
city,
a large city,
I'd ask a
I, I'd,
policeman.
I'd ask a policeman.
Well, if today were Sunday, what would tomorrow be? If today were Sunday, what would tomorrow be? If today
If
were
today
Sunday,
for Sunday,
tomorrow'd be.
tomorrow will be Monday.
Very good. When office workers are too busy to leave their desk for lunch, do they often just have a quick sandwich? When office workers are too busy to leave their desk for lunch, do they often just have a quick sandwich? Yes. When
Yes,
office
when,
workers
uh, when office
are
workers
too busy
are too
to
busy
leave their
to
desk for
leave their
lunch,
to desk for lunch,
what? To leave their desk
to leave their desk
for lunch,
for
they
lunch,
often just
they
have
often just
a
have
quick
a
sandwich.
quick sandwich.
What kind of things do they put in the sandwiches? What kind of things do they put in sandwiches? We put meat,
We put meat,
cheese, eggs,
cheese,
etc.
eggs, etc.
in sandwiches.
in sandwiches.
Very good. What's your biggest fault? What's your biggest fault? My biggest fault
My biggest
is
fault is dropped my mobile phone.
very good. Again? No, not again. Again.
And not again.
In your is your if your computer was faulty, would you know how to fix the fault? If your computer was faulty, would you know how to fix the fault? Yes or no?
Yes,
If
I
my
if
computer
my
was faulty,
computer was faulty,
I would
I
know
would
how to
know
fix the
how
fault.
to fix the fault.
Very good. Are your dictations usually faultless? Are your dictations usually faultless? No. My
No,
dictations
my dictation
aren't usually
aren't
faultless.
usually faultless.
They usually
They
contain
usually contain
mistakes.
mistakes.
Very good. If a student makes a mistake in his dictation, is it usually his fault or the teacher's fault? If a student makes a
If
mistake in his dictation, is it usually his fault or the teacher's fault? If a student
if a
makes a
student
mistake
makes a
in
mistake
his dictation,
in his dictation,
it's usually his
it's
fault,
usually his
but
fault,
it could
but
sometimes
it could
be
sometimes
the
be
teacher's fault.
the teacher's fault.
Very good. Okay. What can we say instead of okay? What can we say instead of okay? Instead of okay,
Instead of
we
okay,
can say all
we
right.
can say all right.
Very good. Can we compare Michelangelo with Napoleon? Can we compare Michelangelo with Napoleon? No, we
No,
can't
we
compare
can't compare
Michelangelo with Napoleon.
Michelangelo with Napoleon
Very good. Why not? Why not? Because they
because
were two
they were two
completely different
completely
kinds of
different
people
kinds of the of
who did
people
different
who
things
did different
from
things
each other.
from each other.
Very good. What must two people or things have if we want to make a comparison between them? What must two people or things have if we want to make a comparison between them? If we want to
If
make
we want to
a
make
comparison
a comparison
between them,
between them,
they must have something
they must have something
in common.
in common.
In common.
In common,
Very good. Okay, next. What do we use ice for? What do we use ice for? We use ice
we use ice
for putting
for
in drinks,
putting in
to
drinks
cool
to
them,
cool them,
etc.
etc.
Very good. What am I doing? What am I doing? You're
You
pouring
are
some
pouring
water
some water
from a bottle
from a bottle
into a glass.
into a glass.
Very good. Okay, next. Do you think that all the countries of the world will unite one day? Do you think that all the countries of the world will unite one day? Yes or no?
Yes,
I think that all the
I think
countries
that all the
of the
countries
world
of the world
will unite one day.
will unite one day.
Yeah, we hope so. Okay. Give me a sentence with the word even in it. Give me some sentences with the word even in it, please. He speaks Russian,
He speaks Russian,
German,
German,
French,
French,
and even
and
Chinese.
even Chinese.
He was very
He
impolite.
was very
He
impolite.
didn't even
He didn't
say
even
hello.
say hello.
It's very simple.
It's very simple.
Even a child
Even a
could
child
understand it.
could understand it.
Could understand it.
Could understand it.
Where do we generally make sugar with potatoes? Do we generally make sugar with potatoes? No, we
No,
don't
we
generally
don't
mix
generally
sugar
mix
with potatoes.
sugar with
Do
potatoes.
you think a mixture of tea and coffee would make a pleasant drink? Do you think a mixture of tea and coffee would make a pleasant drink? No, I don't
No,
think a
I don't
mixture
think a
of
mixture
tea
of
and
tea
coffee
and
would
coffee
make a
would
pleasant
make a
drink.
pleasant drink.
It would make
It would make
an unpleasant drink.
an unpleasant drink.
Wait, if you mix some red and white paint together, what would you get? If you mix some red and white paint together, what would you get? If I mixed
If I
some
mixed
red and
some
white
red
paint together,
and white
white
paint
paint
together,
together, I'd get pink paint.
I'd get pink paint.
Wait, who cared for you when you were a child? Who cared for you when you were a child? My mother
My mother
cared for me
cared for
when
me
I was a
when
child.
I was a child.
Do you think the young should take care of the old? Do you think the young should take care of the old? Yes, I think
Yes,
the young
I think the
should
young
take care
should take care
of the old.
of the old.
Very good. Do you take good care of your health? Do you take good care of your health? Yes or no?
Yes,
I
I
take good
I
care
take good
of
care
my health.
of my health.
Reggie, do you care what people think or say about you? Do you care what people think or say about you? Yes or no?
Yes,
I
I
care
I
what
care
people think
what people
or
think
say about me.
will say about me.
Very good. If you were late for a very important appointment, would you take your time? If you were late for a very important appointment, would you take your time? No. If
No,
I were late
if I were
for
late
a very
for a very
important appointment,
important
I
appointment,
wouldn't take my
I
time.
wouldn't take my
I'd
time.
hurry.
I'd hurry
Why? Why? Because it's
because
important
it's
to
important
keep
to
appointments
keep
that we've
appointment that
made.
we made.
Weged, why is it sometimes a bad thing to hurry? Why is it sometimes a bad thing to hurry? It's sometimes
It's
a bad
sometimes
thing to
a
hurry
bad thing to hurry
because we often
because
make
we
mistakes
often make mistakes
when we hurry.
when we hurry.
Weged, would you take your time going home if somebody told you your house was on fire? Would you take your time going home if somebody told you your house was on fire? No, I
No,
wouldn't take
I
my
wouldn't
time
take my
going
time
home
going
if
home
somebody told
if
me
somebody told
my
me
house was
my
on
house
fire.
was on
I'd
fire.
hurry.
I'd hurry.
What's the translation of I am in a hurry? What's the translation of I am in a hurry in Japanese? The translation
The
of I
translation
am in
of
a
I am
hurry
in a hurry
is
私は急いでいます in Japanese.
very good. What do the words plenty of mean? What do the words plenty of mean? The words
The word
plenty of mean
plenty of
more
means
than enough.
more than enough.
Do people hurry when they have plenty of time? Do people hurry when they have plenty of time? No.
No,
People don't hurry
people don't
when
hurry
they have
when
plenty
they
of
have
time.
plenty of
They
time.
take their time.
They take that time.
Meg, what's the opposite of plenty of water? What's the opposite of plenty of water? The opposite
The
of
opposite
plenty of
of
water
plenty of
is
water
little water
is little
or
water
not enough
or
water.
not enough water.
Very good. What's the difference between for and since? What's the difference between for and since? The difference
The
between
difference
for
between
and since
for and
is that
since
we
is
use
that we
the word
use
for
the word
when we
for
say
when we
a
say
period of
a
time,
period of time,
whereas we use
whereas
the
we
word
use
since
the word thing
when we say
when we
the point
say
at
the point
which the
at
period
which the
began.
period began.
Well, could give me some examples of for. Give me some examples of for, please. For half an hour.
For half hour,
For 2 weeks.
for 2 weeks,
Now give me some examples of since. Give me some examples of since, please. Since 6 o'clock.
since 6 o'clock,
Since last June.
since last June.
Very good. How long have you been in that room for? How long have you been in that room for? I've been in
I've
this
been
room
in
for
this room for
how many hours?
two,
Or minutes? 30 minutes?
uh,
1 hour?
1 hour ago.
One
I,
hour. One more. I've been in this
I've
room
been in this room
for 1 hour.
for an hour.
Very good. Since when have you been in that room for? Since when have you been in that room? I've been in this room
I've been in this room
since 7 o'clock.
since 7 o'clock.
Oh, not 7 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Very
Ah,
good.
5 o'clock.
Very good. How long have you lived in your town for? How long have you lived in your town for? I've lived in
I've
this
lived
town
in this
for
town for 8 years.
8 years. Since when have you lived in the town? Since when have you lived in the town? I've lived in this
I've lived
town
in this town
since
since
2015.
2015.
Very good. About how long have you known me for? About how long have you known me for? I've known you
I've
for
known you
about
for about
like
three,
I
three,
mean
3 months.
3 months. Very good. Since when have you known me? Since when have you known me? I've known you
I've known
since
you
July.
since July.
Very good. Have you been able to speak English for more than 10 years? Have you been able to speak English for more than 10 years? Yes or no?
No,
I
I
haven't been
I
able
haven't been
to
able
speak
to
English
speak English
for more
for
than
the
for
for
more
more
than
than
10 years.
10 years.
Have you been able to speak English since you were a young child? Have you been able to speak English since you were a young child? Yes or no?
No,
I haven't
B.
been
I
able
haven't been
to
able
speak
to
English
speak
since
English
I was
since
a
I
young
was
child.
a young child.
Very good. What kind of things does a kitchen usually contain? What kind of things does a kitchen usually contain? The kitchen
The
usually
kitchen
contains
usually
a
contains
fridge, a
a
freezer,
fridge, a
a
freezer,
cooker,
a
a sink,
cooker, a
etc.
sink, etc.
Where does meat last longer in a fridge or a freezer? That meat lasts longer in a fridge or a freezer? Meat lasts longer
Meat lasts
in a
longer
freezer.
in the freezer.
Why do some people like using microwaves? Why do some people like using microwaves? Some people
Some
like
people
using
like
microwaves
using microwaves
because they cook food
because they cook
very
food
quickly.
very quickly.
Wege, did you find English pronunciation a little difficult at the beginning of your studies? Did you find English pronunciation a little difficult at the beginning of your studies? Yes, I found
Yes,
English
I found
pronunciation
English
a little
pronunciation
difficult
a little
at the
difficult
beginning of my
at the beginning
studies.
of my studies.
Do you hope your English studies will help your future career? Do you hope your English studies will help your future career? Yes, I hope
Yes, I
my
hope
English studies
my English
will
studies
help my
will help
future
my
career.
future career.
Very good. Would you lend me some money if I asked you? Huh, would you lend me some money if I ask you? No, I
No,
wouldn't lend
I
you
wouldn't rent
any
you
money
any
if you
money
ask me.
if you ask me.
Right? If you lend something to somebody and they didn't return it, what did you do? If you lent something to somebody and they didn't return it, what did you do? If I lent
If
something
I lent
to
something
somebody
to
and they
somebody
didn't return it,
and they didn't return
I'd
it,
ask them to
I
return it.
ask them to return it.
Very good. Okay, what's your first name? What's your first name? My first name's.
My first name's Hikari.
What's your surname? What's your surname? My surname's.
My surname's Sugiyama.
Very good. What would you like to be famous? Would you like to be famous? Yes or no?
And no,
I wouldn't like to
I
be
wouldn't
famous.
like to be famous.
What's a film star? What's a film star? A film star
A film
is a
star
famous
is a
actor
famous
or actress
actor or
in
actress
the cinema
in
world.
the cinema world.
Tell me the name of a famous film star. Tell me the name of a famous film star, please. The names
The
of
names
some
of
famous
some
film
famous
stars are
film stars
Johnny
are
Depp,
Johnny Depp,
who,
Johnny Depp, Hugh Jackman,
Shijikun, Jackie Chan, etc.
Jackie Chan, etc.
Name a few
He's so
famous
famous.
Name a few famous people in history. Name a few famous people in history, please. A few famous
A
people
few famous
in
people
history
in
are
history are
Shakespeare
Shakespeare,
and
Albert
Einstein,
Einstein,
Michelangelo, etc.
Michelangelo, etc.
Very good. Okay, what's the most industrial city in your country? What's the most industrial city in your country? The most
The most
industrial city in my
industrial
country
city in my country
is
is Tokyo.
Tokyo. Very good. Okay. What's the most agricultural region of your country? Okay, but we stop there for today and we continue again next lesson.